Welcome everybody to Soar and Pair, Why Not Together,
Hello.
episode 36. And I'm Jim.
Sandy.
And we welcome you back to a full episode. Remember, Soar and Pair is soaring together to explore new adventures while inspiring others to create their own. And last week we kind of took a week off.
Yeah,
From,
it was nice.
From a full episode. She says it was nice. It is also nice to do an episode.
Well,
though.
of course, we had a good time.
It was. We had a great time of celebrating Shay's birthday. And, today we're going to talk about stress related to the holidays and, how to manage that and deal with that. On a personal note, yesterday, December 5th, was my son's Jimmy's 35th birthday.
Yeah.
And, he has been gone now over 10 years. And it's interesting because I don't usually make a big deal of things. A lot of times I keep to myself.
Yeah.
But for some reason this year I posted a few things on Facebook. I performed a piece of music I wrote for him. I put out pictures. I was very personal, very open. It was interesting because doing that leaves you kind of feeling raw.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me want to do it a lot. Let's do this some more. Because it stirs up, I think, with time, you learn to sort of it never goes away, but
compartmentalize.
Yeah, set it aside. Yeah. And I think by kind of putting it out there, and, of course to honor Jimmy and what he meant to me and a lot of other people. And I want to first of all, I want to appreciate everybody on Facebook who's very kind in their comments.
Yeah.
It was
beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. And so, I think with his birthday, the beginning of December and the holidays, it's really rough when you have lost somebody close to you. Whether it's a child, a parent, somebody that you have memories sharing the holidays with.
Makes you miss them all the more, doesn't it?
Right. And, last night we watched a movie to think of Jimmy, went out to eat, kind of celebrate him, and watched one of the Matrix movies, which was one of his favorites. And and mine too. I love the Matrix. And, I thought, okay, kind of get it out of my system. But, today's been not an easy day. I have to admit, Sandy's like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a little beat up.
A little raw.
Yeah, still feeling a little raw. And I think, it can be good, but how much is too much? And there's no one right answer for any parent grieving or any individual going through this. But I think you just need to allow to come up what needs to come up at the time and let it play itself out, and don't judge yourself or
And it'll change year to year.
Right. And this was very different this year. I think more intense. And
I saw you go through that's one thing I noticed, was that this year seemed a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Do you know why that was?
No, there's no particular reason. I mean, it's been 10 years, so, it says, time heals all wounds. But I think there's no way to gauge when things come up to the surface. You
have to just allow and walk through it as best you can.
I think the important thing is not to block it or push it down, but okay, here it is. This triggered me, this memory, this song, this movie, this person. I recently saw Austin, which was one of Jimmy's best friends. We did. And I was showing him the picture that I posted on Facebook. It was graduation night with him and Anthony and Jimmy in the picture. And, I think all that together just kind of made it.
Not to mention too, it's 10 years. So, that's kind of a landmark, and recognizing that consciously or subconsciously, I think, it's another landmark
Right.
And it was his 35th birthday, another landmark. So of course you're going to, I guess what you're saying is allow yourself to feel it the way you feel it. And landmarks can be more tough.
Right. And I'm not very demonstrative or emotional person when it comes to that. The waterworks don't happen. So I handle it differently than a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just but there are those moments where that emotion comes up and it's really intense. So, I thought, in going through this, I told Sandy, well, why don't we talk about, getting through the holidays and some of the stress that's related to that, and, whether you've lost somebody or you're just dealing with stress, or, some people feel depressed during the holidays. So
there's lots of reasons.
Yeah. And I think, getting through this stressful time, in our culture is important. And, I definitely want to allow myself to feel the way I do, but I don't want that to take me down I don't want to say a depressing path.
Well, I just want to recognize what you're doing here and thank you for sharing, because it's so personal. To put something like this out there is exposing yourself in a way that you're not used to.
No, and I've done that with music. I've written songs to express my emotions, which to me is a very, natural way. And so, to speak it, but if I can help another parent out there, if I can help another individual who's really struggling, either because they come up on an anniversary or they remember the holidays, and that's really the key, is, celebrating, because we always talk about celebrating Jimmy, not mourning him.
Right. And now that you say that, I think when we post this, that we should include Christmas Star link with the video. That way people can see. There's, explain to them the song that you wrote.
Well, it actually was an
many
idea that you came up with. So, the second Christmas after he passed, we had moved in together, and you came up with the idea, like, why don't we celebrate Jimmy in Christmas? Because it's just very difficult, that raw, after losing someone unexpectedly. And you said, why don't we pick out a new star every Christmas,
or a different ornament every year,
some kind of ornament, but I think it was focused on the star, in Jimmy's honor for Christmas. Like, that's a great idea. And I liked it. I forgot what we picked out.
A star.
So we did pick out.
It was a star.
I don't remember the specific
Hence
one.
the name.
Yes. So I woke up Christmas Eve morning, and like I usually do, songs wake me up, and wrote Christmas Star, which really talks about remembering Jimmy specifically and the impact he had in all of our lives through the light of the Christmas star. And so it's a beautiful song. It's one that I've shared with some close friends and family, and put out there. I put out there on the Endless Grace CD.
It's helped many people who have gone through something similar.
But the whole idea was to replace the grief with celebrating the beauty of the time we had together.
Yeah.
And so that really, and I think that's really the key, is do you stay in the grief, or do you allow yourself to go there and then move into something that celebrates and honors the memory of that person, instead of...
Well, there's no, like you said earlier, there's no right or wrong way. This is how you've chosen to do it, and it's worked well for you.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't have his moments, but how you choose to work through it. Each person is so individual, and you have to just honor where you are, wherever you are.
It's so true.
So let's go ahead and jump into our topic then.
Right. So stress in general related to the holidays, right? Everybody's everybody's kind of driving a little crazier and a little crazier at the stores,
Right.
and then throw in the pandemic at 2020 and
Just for good measure.
stir all that up, and what do you get? A whole mess. So we thought, how can we step back and look at this for ourselves and others? How do we help and watch that stress in other people?
Well, and stress can trigger symptoms of underlying depression or anxiety that we already may have. It's not that it's the cause of it, but it exacerbates what's already there, so it makes it seem bigger and badder and worse. That's why everybody kind of amps up, I think.
Right, and then throw in the isolation.
Oh my goodness.
Of the
right?
pandemic.
Right. And a lot of people aren't going to be with their families or loved ones this year because of travel.
Right.
So that's even harder. Isolation. Yeah.
Right, and that isolation, and that tends to then encourage loneliness, and it's just a domino effect. So,
yeah.
I think it's really important to, use technology to keep a strong network, of families and friends to avoid that,
Yeah,
But,
for sure. Okay. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're all jumping in here. But what are some good ways to help relieve stress? Some common things like self-care, like you've talked about before.
Okay. For self-care, I think, the basics that we all know about, making sure that you're getting a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. Because when you're stressed, your mind doesn't shut off, and we tend to function on a lot less than we should. And if we're not getting that restorative sleep, we can't heal and relax and come out of that fight or flight. So that's one. Of course, balanced meals, making sure that you're getting your fiber and your fresh vegetables, lots of water.
What? Not Christmas cookies and cake and fruit cake
and alcohol. Yeah.
Eggnog.
Everything. Oh my goodness. Yeah. In the holidays, use your own discretion. Just make sure that you're getting enough water, and that you're getting sufficient downtime, whatever that means to you, to where you shut off and disconnect from social media, from the TV, from whatever the chaos is, internal or external. Just finding a way to disconnect for a moment and come back to center.
Spoken like a really, experienced nurse there. But it's true. It goes beyond that. It's really, recognizing, almost like preparing. Okay, here come the holidays. Here's some things that I can do, to be in a good place. Because I think things are stressful enough, so that if you then, make it harder on yourself by not getting enough sleep, not eating right, and all those kind of things. And we'll go into a little more some other tips and ideas, but let's shift the focus to
loved ones.
Yeah. How do we help them, and how can we notice if they're starting to kind of slip into that
kind
stress?
Of starting to go into that is if one of our loved ones tends to go that direction where they tend to be more depressed, or if you notice that when you talk to them that they're more flat, their affect is flat, that they seem a little more withdrawn or anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Another good thing to look for is normally when you call or text them, they answer right away, but right now they're not answering you at all. They're withdrawing.
Right.
If they're more reactive to things and their reactions seem a little more exaggerated than they should be or what's warranted. Just things to look for.
Or they're irritated.
Yeah.
They're irritated, they're really getting wound up.
Yeah, everything's exaggerated, and it doesn't really fit the scenario. These are just things. Can you think of anything else?
They annoy the heck out of you.
What? Okay, I'm sorry I asked.
She asked. No, in all seriousness, it's almost like it's paying attention to, how they're saying things.
Right.
Is there this underlying tone of frustration and anger and
or just flat? If there's like no emotion,
Right.
like they sound like they're talking through a tin can with no emotion, that's a good indicator that they're going into something that's not healthy.
so what do? How can you reach out and touch someone? How can you reach out now and maybe help them if you notice any of these symptoms going on with your family members
Well,
and friends?
You just want to you want to make sure that I can't read that, so you're going to have to. You want to make sure that you're connecting with them. Let them know that when it's okay, first of all, to feel what they're feeling, that you recognize it, that you see them, and that it's okay. They don't have to feel joyous or celebratory during the holidays because everybody else is. That it's okay to feel what they feel.
Right.
And that you appreciate their presence in your life.
Yeah, I mean, and that you connect with them, that you're able to get past that, whatever that brick wall is.
Right.
You know, so however you need to connect with them, and if you're not.
Or just simply saying, it seems, you seem different to me. I'm sorry, it seems like you might be going through a tough time. And I just want you to know that I care, that I'm here when you're ready to talk.
Well, and
if and when, just put the welcome mat out.
Right, and also, you've said this before, meet them at their own level. So if they're, down here, not that you have to go down and be negative with them, but listen to them. Oh, that's,
Meet them where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that
doesn't mean you're jumping into it. It means you're going there to meet them, not to hang out and stay. Yeah.
Right, because I think what happens is, without meaning to be judgmental, we're like, well, why aren't you happy? Or what's wrong with you?
Just cheer up.
Yeah, come on, cheer up. It's the holidays, Everything should be great. And that's like
that works,
yeah.
Right?
So I really feel like finding that in that way to get around and to connect with them, or just listen. Sometimes just say, I'm here for you.
Just listening. I'm here to listen. Exactly. And putting out that welcome mat and letting them know that you're there for them and that you appreciate the role that they play in your life, even if you can't be together, that you're thinking of them.
And sometimes
it goes a long way.
It does. Sometimes the simplest phrase means so much.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this before, just saying, I'm just thankful you're in my life, like we were talking about Thanksgiving. But I mean, just saying something simple like that, or, the holiday, you mean so much to me for this reason.
It's just like the acts of kindness that we talked about before, how it's contagious. You don't know the impact that you can have on someone just by a kind word.
Right, and I know, I've heard before in the past, and it happens all the time, that, if I say something simple like, I really appreciate you, and somebody says, you know what, you don't know how much I needed to hear that today.
Yeah.
Some people, they won't say that, but I'm like, oh, okay, I was just, being kind, or saying what
It's nice when you hear that back once in a while. It's nice to recognize that, but you don't have to hear that. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's important to reach out and check with your circle of friends, your family members.
Check on each other. Great point.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, especially if you haven't heard from somebody in your family, send them a quick text or a call, just reaching out to, hey, just checking on you today. You're on my mind. Good plan.
Right. What was that commercial? Reach out and touch someone. I think it was a telephone commercial.
Reach out, don't be shy. Actually, I think it's a deodorant commercial.
No, there was an old telephone commercial. Reach out and touch someone. Anyway.
Oh, you're right. I'm combining commercials.
Not deodorant. You stink, so.
Don't be shy.
So yeah, if they're depressed, sing an old commercial to them, But, the point of all those old commercials, way back, if some of you remember, when they would make you cry because granny finally talked to granddaughter for the first time, and it's the telephone that, you know, back before we had cell phones and FaceTime and all that.
Right.
But I mean, that's what we're talking about. And all joking aside, is making sure those connections, even with the pandemic, and we may not be going to visit,
especially because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just underscores everything we're saying in a different way. Because this isn't pandemic specific, but it's just exacerbated by it, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's one of the reasons why I think we wanted to talk about this, because it's a very unique year. There's so many things not happening that normally happen, gatherings, events, you know, whether it's church or whether it's, you know, I've played at the Messiah event every year for 15 years in a Casa Grande, a multi-congregational thing. We're not doing that this year. You know, so there's so many things that bring people together.
Yeah.
This, not only this whole year, but around the holidays, that isn't happening. And so I think it's really, really important to think of that, because that could, first of all, create, you know, anxiety or depression in yourself. And then what about all the other people that, you know, because I think when people gather together and celebrate something or enjoy a concert, that's a very healing and wonderful thing. That's why gatherings and events happen.
And that's why it seems kind of corny, but I think it works for people, is, you know, doing these Zoom calls where you set it up to where you can have that virtual get together, where you're all in your little screens, you know, in your little windows, so that you're all together on the screen.
Right. And
it's one way to do it.
Yeah. Thanks to technology, you know, we can virtually gather, but it's still not the same.
Of course it's not the same, but it's something. It's better than nothing.
Right.
And we have to, instead of looking at that glass as half empty, we need to see it as half full and take what we can.
Absolutely. So, now putting the focus back on ourselves, so we've talked about how we can help our family. Well, it is about you. Because self-care, if you take care of yourself, then, you know, you can take care of others. But, you know, and so we talked about a few things, you know, sleep and eating well. But one other thing I want to bring up right now, because it's kind of on my mind, because you've been doing a lot of shopping, money. Why is it, especially in the United States of America, you know, we created things like Black Friday, you know, Cyber Monday, and why must we spend so much money and go way overboard?
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, and I'm not saying bah humbug, I don't want to, of course you want to give gifts, and we're going to give gifts to our children, our grandchildren, and our friends and family, but we're kind of pulling back a little bit this year, being a little more conservative. Yeah,
we're being more conservative this year, and you know, holding ourselves to a budget. And that's kind of tough to do with the kids and the grandkids, and you just see and you want to, you know, do. But I think there's something to what you're saying, putting the limits on, and it's okay. We don't have to feel the pressure to keep up
and get the perfect gift, you know,
or the most expensive gift. The fact that we're thinking of each other should be a gift in and of itself.
Right.
And another way to save money is to do homemade gifts. You know, a gift made from the heart. Excuse me. As I choke on that one. That's funny. There's something beautiful about that.
Yes. Yeah, so I think that extra financial stress is not something that, I think in our culture, it's like almost expected. Like, I think we should just wait a second and, you know, do what seems right to us and say no sometimes to something.
Well, yeah, monitor yourself for yourself, not don't worry what everybody else is doing, what the expectations are, right?
And it's about showing the love and to each other, and you know, gift giving I think has gotten way out of whack, but that's definitely one way, you know, not to create that kind of stress that will carry with you throughout the year. By the way, if you overspend, you have these big bills, so that's definitely one way.
Another thing you can do is meditation.
Om.
There's lots of different ways. You know, if you're not used to meditation, or if you're somebody that says, "Oh, I can't do that. My mind won't shut up." There's many ways. You can do sleeping. You know, as you're going to sleep, you can listen to these different meditations that carry you into sleep. And if it's playing as you go to sleep, you're still going to get the benefit of it. You can do walking meditations, which is something I used to do a lot when I lived near the woods. Or, you know, just finding a way to go quiet and to reset and center, like we were talking about earlier. It lowers your blood pressure, lowers your respiratory rate, and it opens the blood vessels. So, I mean, by reducing that fight or flight response of the stress and anxiety, you're actually doing something healthy, because when you relax like that, your body puts out the feel-good, healthy cells,
Right.
versus the not so healthy ones.
And I think you and I can both honestly say that when we go through spurts where we meditate pretty consistently, and then we go through times when we don't, and we definitely can feel the difference in our bodies and in our stress level.
Completely. Yeah. And sometimes I do just quick little meditations throughout the day. I'll do what I call active meditations, which is just literally taking a moment in the middle of my day, nice deep breath, you know, doing that deep breathing 2-3 times, and just releasing everything and coming back to center. It's like I've done a 20-minute meditation.
And we can keep it simple. It doesn't have to be this close your eyes, light incense, you know, Om and all, you know. There are apps out there though that are very, very good. They're free.
Good ones.
And they have music, and they have different sounds, and they have, you know,
or visuals, if you're somebody that would rather keep your eyes open.
Yes, and or, you know, sayings that'll help motivate you.
Mantras.
So there's a lot of good stuff out there. So
art therapy is a type of meditation.
Yes.
You know, whether it be music, drawing, painting, dance. There's so many kinds. You know, whatever works for you. That whenever you get into something and you lose track of time, that's your meditation.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because of course I love music, and I do lose track of time when I'm playing the piano. But what I enjoyed when I did art with you last month, we did the Dia de los Muertos, you know, is I found myself getting lost in that. So it doesn't always have to be the most comfortable thing. And one of these times I would like to, you know, do a dance class with you, and I'm very uncomfortable with the dance. But I think breaking out of your comfort zone.
Knees and elbows, right?
Yes. Breaking out of your comfort zone and trying something, not because you want to look good or whatever, but just, you know, enjoying and doing that, I think is so important. But along the lines of meditation is like the yoga or qigong too, right?
Very good. Yeah, that really helps. Same thing. Helps to lower the blood pressure, bring back to center, and just, it feels so good to move the body. It's such a, if you've never done qigong, it's very relaxing and fluid. It's like yoga, but with movement.
It's like slow movement, yes, like Tai Chi.
But it's a beautiful dance, and you come out of it. I jokingly call it old people exercises, because it's so gentle.
Hey.
I love it.
Wait a second.
But it cracks me up, you know, because it is that gentle, you know, that I think anybody can do it. So.
Yeah, you don't have to go to a gym, and, you know, but speaking on that, exercise in general, I think is another really good stress reliever. So even just walking, you know, we've gotten away from it. So getting back to walking, bicycling, you know, just some form of getting outside and moving, because a lot of us sit at our desks.
No, they say sitting's the new smoking, so. Yeah,
so to get out and move, I think, is definitely therapeutic.
Yeah.
And support groups is another one too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Whether it be in person or via Facebook or internet or whatever works for you, just finding people that you can connect with, make new friends, and be heard. You know, a place for you to be heard.
Right, and I think one of the things for self-care is when you mentioned this before, don't think of yourself when you serve. So whether you're volunteering or giving in some way, and that goes back to reaching out to friends and family. So when you can reach out and extend that metaphorical hand and help somebody,
Yeah.
It's a good way to get out of your own stuff, because
Oh,
right, we
yes.
all have our own stuff that we struggle with.
Right. And when you're helping somebody else, it helps you tenfold. So I mean, it's that reciprocal. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. And of course, one more thing, extremely important, and put a plug in for Sandy's business, energy healing.
Yes. Yes.
Around the holidays.
Part of that mind-body connection. Very much so. It's like labor and delivery, right? With the mind-body connection is, you know, when you receive energy work, you're able to do the mind over matter type thing, like labor and delivery, to just kind of help relax things, and that can be done long distance.
Yes, us guys totally get the labor and delivery thing.
You don't have to, if you know, even any women that have never had children, you know,
It's
you
true.
can kind of picture it, right?
No, you're exactly right. And
There's a reason it's still around.
you know, and the polarity that you've learned, craniosacral, Reiki, I think,
Reiki.
in any way when you can help the energy flow, right? Because when energy gets stuck, what happens?
Well, that's when things give way. You know, that's when dissonance or dis-ease occur. That's where pain will occur. If you've got energy blocked in your knees, you're going to have trouble moving. You're going to have trouble moving forward in life.
Right.
So, without going down that rabbit hole, a lot of things can break down if we're not keeping the energy flowing and keeping our systems clean.
And so especially in the holidays, I think giving the gift to yourself of, you know, taking care of and doing the things that help you feel connected and alive.
Yeah.
And when you get stuck, reaching out for that help, from whether it's energy healing or whether it's, you know, doing something that's going to help, you know, get past that block, that stress.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out, I guess, is the message I really want to underscore here is if you're feeling stuck and you don't have a large network around you, please reach out to someone. Join a Facebook group, something. Just reach out to someone for help. Don't suffer in silence.
Right, because I think us human beings we're meant to not be alone. We're meant to have tribes, right? To have communities.
Yeah.
And I think that's really how we're wired.
Yes.
So, you know, to think you can be isolated and push the world out after a while, that, you know, that isn't healthy.
Right,
Good.
right. And, you know, the mind-body connection, it affects, it impacts how you experience symptoms, not if. So I did want to mention that, you know, there's no magic blue pill for any of us to take. It doesn't mean that you're not going to experience life and all the ups and downs that come with life, but it's how you process it through your body and your mind. So, just something to think about.
Definitely. And we have a quote here: "We are more than our thoughts. We are also our bodies, emotions, and spirit. All these combine to make us who we are."
Love that.
Yeah. You came up with that, or you found it, and I think that really kind of ties it all together.
Yeah, it just speaks very, very clearly as to what I was feeling with that one.
Right, and you know, to bring it back to what I was talking about, it's a matter of allowing yourself to have those emotions or to go through those moments, but then realize that, you know, you can get past it and move on, not just by shoving it down, by allowing it to play itself out, and then, you know, reaching out like I do to you.
Yeah.
Or my friends, or expressing in music, or whatever way is healing for me. It was very healing to perform that song last night and put it out there, and, you know, have all those people watch and comment.
So sometimes it really does, even if you're shy about it, does really help to put yourself out there.
Yes,
And-
yes, it does. And, I thank you for sharing. I just got to say again, because I know this is very personal, but thank you for
You're welcome.
walking your talk.
Well, and everybody is going through something similar, or they will, and so it's all about helping each other.
Exactly.
It comes down to it. So speaking of helping each other, we have to, before we close, a Sandyism. So the Sandyism today is your word for something funny when you're being sarcastic. Well, isn't that funny? You go, hilarious.
Oh, jeez.
Hi, my name is Larry, and I'm high.
My name's Larry, and I'm high.
Hilarious. So that's another Sandyism that's unique.
Oh, that's so random.
I know. I thought you would. I thought you
We
would.
were
get-
joking one day, and I just, I don't know. It just kind of came out. So,
which is how most Sandyisms are born.
yeah.
But anyway, we want to wish you all well during the holidays, during, this time when we're leading up to Christmas and the holidays. And we want to remind you that, we do have our channel subscription in YouTube. So please subscribe if you haven't. Make comments. We'd love to hear from you. And then our beloved podcast listeners on Stitcher and Google Podcasts and Apple and Amazon and all those. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We hope you, even though you can't see our faces, hear our voices. You can always come over to YouTube and see us as well.
Mm-hmm.
But continue to give us comments and subscribe. We appreciate you all very, very much.
Thank you, and have a great week. Oh, by the way, real quick, my website will be up and running. It's being worked on, and it will be up and running in the next few weeks. Super excited about that, so there will be more to come there. Also, my surgery is happening Wednesday. We don't know if we'll be here next week. If we won't be here next week, then we will put a little blurb out there to let you guys know where we're at.
Right, and the website's going to be sandysoren.com.
Yes.
So, thanks everyone. We'll
Take
see
care.
you next
Have a great week.
Take care. Don't spend too much money.